All right, check this out, right? I was reading an article recently about Kamala Harris. And this actually isn't a conversation about politics. I don't think. Hey, J. Kevin Powell, check me out. You like where I've gone on these? Don't forget to subscribe, hit the button, all that stuff. I haven't even gotten into the subject yet, but hopefully you did it anyway. But so when we're looking at this, we have this Biden election coming on. We have this presidential election coming up. We have whoever the Republican candidate is coming up. And this article is talking about whether Kamala Harris is going to be beneficial or whether she's going to harm the ticket. The thing that annoyed me about this conversation is if you look at the line of conversation as it relates to Kamala Harris being vice president, it has expanded or spanned both sides of the argument. The argument for women in power, the argument about women in power, the argument of women in power. Whatever preposition you want to use there, it is about how this world views women when women are in a position that they are uncomfortable with. Kamala Harris is essentially the epitome of a mother or a mother of a nation in this scenario. Because if she walks into the situation and she walks into it with this attitude that says, I know what I'm talking about, I have an idea of where I'm going, I know what I'm going to do and what I am intended to do, and I am strong and powerful and I am willing to do it, pundits and people will complain about her being too strong and too aggressive and not knowing her place. And then if she goes in there and she says, I am the vice president, I will acquiesce to the president's will. I will do what I'm supposed to do. I will sit back and I will be quiet. I will just be the supporting partner. Then somebody else, probably the same people, will say that she is not stepping up and doing enough in her position to support the president. Like, do you see the problem we have here? Like, this isn't a political problem. That's why I said I'm not talking about politics. This is an American cultural issue. This is more than likely a world cultural issue. But I don't live all throughout the world. I live in America. And you'll notice that several times I try to keep my comments into the sphere I know, because I have to learn other places, so I'm not going to prejudge and predetermine that I know how the rest of the world is. But when I look at America and its relationship with women and its relationship with women in power, it just absolutely sucks. Like, we have a hard time dealing with a woman who can step up and say, I know what I want, I know what I want to get, and I'm going to get it. And this woman can do it the same exact way as a male. Kamala Harris can do it the same exact way as a male. Vice President Kamala Harris can do it the same exact way as a male and get chastised for it. I mean, I remember the articles that were kind of just cracking up at Kevin McCarthy and his 18 million votes just to become speaker. And now the article is, oh, she's too aggressive, or she's too assertive, or she's too direct. Like, don't you want a direct mother, an aggressive mother? Shoot, clarity is kindness. Like, isn't that what you want? Somebody to be clear and say, I have an idea. That's what you want out of a leader. Shoot, I wasn't always a Bush fan for the things he did, but at least he said he was going to do something, and most of the fact he did it. Most of the times he did it. Yes, exceptions person. You can now list all the ways that that statement is wrong because you just want to be right. But hear what I'm saying here. We have to become comfortable. And I don't want to say it in that broad sense. And you know, if you listen to me, I don't like those broad statements. If I say we have to become more comfortable with women in power, that sounds like I'm saying something that means absolutely nothing. But we need to first look back and see and determine, why is this a cultural element? Why have we not had a female president yet? Why Kamala Harris being the first female vice president was such a big deal in 2020, 21, 22? I'm not going to lie. I don't remember the year other than to know it was too late. Britain's had how many female prime ministers? Australia's had prime ministers. Forget, Germany's had prime ministers, presidents, whatever governments they've had. All throughout this world, there have been all these places that have had female leaders. And then you get to America and it's like, oh my gosh, not a woman. Shoot, you see the way the company react. You see the way the country reacted just after having a black president. Whoa, hold up, sorry. We're home of the free and the brave as long as the brave ain't anybody other than what we want it to be. As long as the free ain't anybody other than who we want it to be. Freedom and justice for all, just not you, and you. Man, the pledge is a farce, but I'll get on that one another time. But check this out, right? So when we're thinking about this concept of women, and this concept of women in power, and this concept of loving and expressing and accepting women in places of power, especially if those places of power are above the position you are in, there are a couple things that I think would really, really, really help you. There are things that even help me when dealing in those situations. Because let's be honest, I am a man. And I was raised in this country where being a man means you have to be in this position of power, or you're supposed to be doing this one thing over the next, or you're supposed to be doing that one, but you can't do that one. And I'm sure there's somebody watching this who will now run down their comments about everything in a man card in all these superficial, stupid ways just to prove how much they are man, right? Oh, ha ha ha, I bet you sit under your mom and wait for your mom to do everything for you comments. You know, those things. Those things that are just defensive. Those things that are just fear. Those things that are just being scared at the opportunity, at the possibility, at the chance that there is a woman out there who is smarter, better, more aggressive at doing it than you. And I guarantee you there is. Just like there is for me in some things, you know? So here's the deal. Inhuman. Here's how this looks. Number one, let's figure out this concept of redefining ourselves. If you took a chart, or maybe a chart down like this, right? If you took a chart and you listed 10 things that describe you. Let's change this. Let's make this easier. Let's make it 5, right? Take 5 things that describe you. And for each of those 5 things, write out the characteristic of what those are. So for me, if I say, what are 5 things that describe me? I would say I'm black, I'm a man, I'm a Christian. I would say I'm a musician, I'm a father. Like, though, let's say those husband, father, let's say those things. Family man. Let's wrap it up in once, right? What are the characteristics of each of those? What does it for me mean to be black? What does it for me mean to be a man? What does it for me mean to be a Christian? What does it for me, or Christian honest? What does it for me mean to be a musician? What does it for me mean to be a family man? And those aren't in ranked order, people, because I know I put musician over family man. I'm just figuring these out as I talk. So, but if I take those down and I say, here are 5 things, and then I break these 5 things into 5 characteristics, I now have this list of 25 things. Let's rank out of these 25 things, how much of these are related to the old stereotypical definition of what manhood is. And then once I have those 5 things, or whatever those things are, let's go out into the world, join a club. If you play softball, if you do something at church or some community group, if you're a musician in a band, if you do something with art society, if you are a person who works in the PTA, volunteers in the PTA, if you do yard work, I don't care what it is. Figure out what it is. The thing that makes you tick. You know, find the thing that makes you tick. And don't take the main one. Right? Don't take the main one, but take something that's close to it. So if you're like, musicians often have several projects they're working, right? So let's say the first project, you're the band leader. You are the man in that one. How about the second or third when you go find yourself a group that is led by a female that espouses or exposes some of the characteristics that you have, that you label as those stereotypical definition of men. And just try to be in that group and learn how to become comfortable listening, following directions, being in that group as a participant, but more important, learning how to rewrite that characteristic. Because overall, that's what we need to do. We need to rewrite these characteristics that define this stereotypical, this linear delineation of man here, woman there, and gets this thing that says man here, woman there, and you blow that all up. Get that out of the way. And yes, for some conservative watching this, you're going to blame me as this is the result of feminism and the deterioration of manhood and all that crap. But I'll have another conversation talking about why I'm more conservative than you are and why you're completely wrong from that perspective. But for today, for this conversation, for this video, I want you to redefine these characteristics that you so align with being a man, that you so align with being powerful, so that you can understand and become better at accepting the women who are strong, powerful, carrying your life, making your life happen, who should be in leader positions that you are could and should be in leadership positions that you are uncomfortable with them being in, so that we can end this stupid idiocy of finding fault in every single action any woman in power takes. You can do that, then we can carry it over to men, we can take it over to the world, but we got to change this cultural element. It's stupid. It's dumb. And you can't tell me the world is advancing as fast as it should if we're still discussing Roe versus Wade after all these years. We aren't advancing, people. We have to rewrite this culture. And that starts with each of us taking individual steps.